نريد أن نسمع ماذا لديك تقولي للشعب اليمني وللجميع. تفضلي سيدتي.
شكرا. Thank this wonderful audience to inviting me for this very meaningful event because I don't know what subject is more intensely discussed than what happened in the Red Sea. And of course, now I'm trying to adapt my speech I prepared when I was far away in Brussels. Now, because a lot of things were already said, I don't think that it's necessary to repeat them. And of course, it was a there were comprehensive speeches of the previous narrators. So I would like to make a few theses because my subject was announced as Yemen in Russian media, and they are the realities and misconceptions. So I would like to underline that what I mean under Yemen in Russian media. First of all, there are different Russian medias because Russian language has a different channel of communications. There's Russian Federation and their publications, mostly governmental. They are former Soviet countries, former Soviet republics. They have also Russian spoken media, and it's quite different angle. And then, of course, we have like Deutsche Welle or Voice of America News. We have Russian-speaking Russian language, but they are American or European outlets and editions. And of course, Yemeni conflict is seen and perceived in these various media completely different, because every media reflects the political realities of the country or political circles it represents. And unfortunately, I must, right from the start, acknowledge the fact that I don't see that any of them, pro-Russian, pro-American, or pro-European, represent a Yemeni interest, because they use the situation to meet their ends meet. They use the situation to benefit themselves, because unfortunately, even when you say Yemen, mostly they mean Houthis. Because nowadays the conflict within the country is completely overshadowed. These Houthis storming international stage. When the end of the last year, they came with their political demands to Israel, and it shocked the world. And that is today also a big problem, because there is a profound need of Yemeni people to reconcile and have a peaceful, modern state with the rule of law, when the citizens are united around the citizenship, but not around the religion or traditions. Because if you look, for example, at the United States, on the previous narrator, I think he touched the issue, that in the United States there are plenty of religions, there are plenty of beliefs, there are people who believe and don't believe, there are people who follow the tradition and don't follow the tradition, and they all are united around the citizenship. And it's a very healthy model, because it allows to overcome the differences and unite around the things that are very meaningful for each of us. I mean, the human values, because then we're united around human values and not what differentiates us, what divides us. So in this regard, of course, first of all, the battle, this information war, because there are 12 or 14 ways of waging war, because physical war, when people shoot, it's just one of the wars that modern science define, because there's information war, there's information psychological war, and it's even more important, or economic war, sanctions war, because now President Trump, president-elect, is going to have a sanction war. So there are different types of wars, and information war, and that's what you see, the war which is taking place in mass media, is even more important than the physical war, because the point is that when we talk about information, there should be understanding that information and psychological war is the prime issue in any conflict, because with very few exceptions, like mercenaries, who Academy or Wagner Group, you don't need the explanations who they are. They are professionals who earn their living from fighting. But the overwhelming majority of people who are in conflict in Ukraine, in Middle East, or elsewhere, they are people who are fighting for their values, for their traditions, for their religion, or for their territory, which they think belongs only to them. So in this regard, what happens intellectually, what happens emotionally in heads of people in their hearts has the prime influence on the course of the conflict. So the conflict is shaped, first of all, in our heads. That's why what is published in the media, who is becoming a villain, who is becoming a victim, who is portrayed as someone who is warrior for justice and injustice, has a tremendous impact. And in this regard, I would like to underline that, of course, we see the rapprochement, the movement between Russia and Houthis, although they are Russian military experts who are working in Yemen with all the groups. So to be sure that in any situation they have their agents of influence, they have a very, I would say, diplomatic approach, and sometimes I would say even pragmatic approach, because they don't want to speculate who will be the winner. They think any case we would be with the party which is party power, because we already helped them. And in this situation, what is my wish? I think that it's very important, as after Iraq, American invasion in Iraq, that Arab world became conscious that nobody else will represent their interests but themselves. And after that, there is a tremendous growth of Arabic media. We saw a lot of channels which were born and a lot of sites. And now there is the whole universe, because we have English spoken media, we have French spoken media, we have Arab spoken media, which is very influential, and it represents specific Arab interests. And I think in this Yemeni conflict, the most important thing is to pay a serious attention to the information war and work at the creation of Yemeni mass media that will represent the national interest, that will help to heal this country.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
مركز المخا للدراسات الاستراتيجية، حيث يلتقي اليمن بالعالم.